In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how you can set your own goals in a way that virtually guarantees your success. Hey guys, welcome to another video. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Henry. And essentially, I built this channel to just share the knowledge I've accumulated through years in business, self-improvement and all that, because I just think that it can help a lot of people. Now, with no further ado, let's dive in and let me show you how you can set your goals. All right, so as you can see, I have two examples here. One that's more business oriented and one that's more like regular life oriented, in this case, fitness. So I'm gonna start off with a simple one because I think most people will be able to implement it to their own lives. And maybe I'll go into the business one, which is a little bit more complex, okay? So for the regular or the basic one, I just chose a goal that most people have, which is to lose weight. So let's say you have a goal that, you want to lose 50 pounds this year. Now, this essentially means that you're going to lose 1 pound per week on average. So that's the first step in setting your goals. You want to figure out the big goal for the year and then break it down into something that's achievable, right? So in this case, it's just losing 1 pound per week. So if you do 1 pound times 4, which is 4 weeks in a month, and then times 12, then you get 48, so which is close enough to 50. So you want to do maybe 1.5 a week. Okay. Now, after you understand your goal and what the goal needs to be like in a smaller scale, then you move on to the next step, which is identifying the variables that will affect that goal. So in this case, there's two things that affect weight loss, right? Or your weight is going to be the caloric intake, so how much you eat, and the calories you burn, so how much you exercise and what do you do in those exercises, right? And that's the simplest way of looking at weight loss. Either if you eat less than the calories that you burn, you're gonna lose weight, right? And that's what it is. So the first thing you need to do is go to a weight loss calculator and figure out how many calories should I be eating per day if I exercise this often and I'm this tall, and all that information. You go into that, you can find many calculators like that on Google. Just put in your information and they're gonna give you an amount of calories that you should be eating per day maximum if you wanna lose X amount of pounds per week, right? And it's gonna depend on how often you exercise, right? The second variable is gonna be the calories that you burn. So the question is gonna be, how often can you work out? So look at your calendar, look at how often do you work, when do you work, all that, and see, okay, I can work out 4 times a week, 5 times a week, right? And don't be lazy, just be realistic. Just say, okay, I know I can realistically work out this many times per week, right? And just commit to it. Okay, so once you figure out how many times you can work out, you put it into the calculator and it'll tell you that, the calories you should be taking in every single day. So after that, you figure out, okay, I'm gonna work out 4 times per week, which means I'll burn this many calories per week or per day. And you want to calculate it to make sure that you're actually burning enough calories per day to make sense for you to eat all those calories, right? And then you can have what I call an action-based goal, right? So in this case, if you work out 4 times per week, your goal is to work out 16 times per month, right? Or essentially like 250 times in the year, right? Or more actually. There you have it. Like now this is your goal, right? The goal is to go work out 16 times every single month or 250 times in the year, right? And you break it down further and further, you just basically have to go work out 4 times per day. And that's how you set your goal in a way that lets you kind of eat at it slowly, right? Instead of having this huge goal like, oh my God, I have to go work out 200 times this year. No, just go 4 times per week. Just focus on what's near. Okay. Now, if you want to go into the more complex one, now if you are not into business and really don't care about this part of life, like when it's a little bit more complex, then you can skip a little bit ahead because I'm going to be talking about these things and explain something here. So you can just skip ahead. I'll have like the times below the video, so you can just click the next step. But if you are into business and want to figure out how to set goals for your own business, please keep watching. Okay, so if you're starting a business, a common goal is going to be to hit 10K a month with your business. Okay, so the first step is to figure out, okay, how many sales do I need to hit 10K per month? So in this case, it's just an example. Let's say the price of your product, your system, your service, whatever it is 2,500 per month. So that means you need 4 sales. Okay, so then you need to ask, okay, what are the variables that would affect me getting those sales, right? The same process. So in this case, it's going to be booking calls, so your marketing and outreach, and then lastly, your closing rate, right? Like how many sales do you actually close from these calls, right? Now, each of these has other variables, so let's start with the sales, which is simpler. So closing rate is going to depend on you, right? If you're starting out now, you don't have a lot of experience in sales, assume you're going to get like a 5 to 10% closing rate, which is very low, but it's normal, right? As you keep going, you'll get better and better, which means that your goal or your action for this specific variable of the goal is going to be to practice sales every day so that your closing rate gets better and better. Okay. Now, if we need 4 sales and we know that we assume that we have a 10% closing rate, which means that we need 40 sales calls. Okay. So now we have the second, aim for our plan, right? We need to hit 40 sales calls. That's a number to hit. So now we go into the booking calls, right? Because booking calls is what's going to get us those sales calls. So let's say let's say you have a 10% booking rate, right? And you know that if you cold call 20 businesses, you get 3 sales calls. And if you send 50 messages on LinkedIn, you get 2 sales calls, right? So you start to figure out, okay, I know my numbers. Like I know how many messages I need to get a certain amount of calls. Now, for example, since we have the 10% booking rate, we know that if you want 40 sales calls, we need 400 outreach points, right? Because that's our booking rate. So that means that we need to do, let's say 200 cold calls every day or 10 cold calls every day and then 10 LinkedIn messages every day. And over time for the month, it's going to get up to 400 because we're not really counting weekends, right? So 20 outreach points times 20 days is going to be 400, right? And then you have your action goals, 10 and 10, and your goal, right, is going to be 400 outreaches by the end of the month. So that is essentially how you figure out your goals. So you don't focus on hitting 10K a month and that's your goal and just going to do whatever it takes to get there. You figure out what are the daily actions that I need so that if I do them every single day without stopping, I will get there. Make it impossible for you not to hit your goals. That's what you want to do. So you figure out your numbers and you say, okay, if I do 10 cold calls and send 10 messages every single day for the next month, I will hit 10K a month because based on my numbers, I know that if I do 400 outreaches, I'll get 40 sales calls. And if I do 40 sales calls, I'll get 4 sales at 2,500 a month or 2,500 per sale, right? And that is essentially how you set your goals so that you are set up for success. Okay, just figure out your action goals and your daily tasks. Okay, now this is not all you need to know for setting goals. There's also a type of mental state or mindset that you need to have so that you actually stay consistent, right? Because if you do 10 cold calls per day, you do it for the week and then you stop for 3 months, you're never gonna get to your goal, obviously, right? So you need to figure out and understand what it means to truly stay consistent and how to do it. So I wrote some things here, right? I'm gonna break these down and also have something that I wanna explain to you guys in a little bit. So let's dive in right here. So the first thing is consistency is greater than intensity. Okay, so I'm looking here and I wrote, don't try to send 300 messages in a day, send 10 per day instead, right? So what I'm trying to say here is that some people are super motivated one day and say, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna send 100 messages today. I'm gonna do everything it takes to send that message or send those 300 messages today because I'm super motivated. And what ends up happening probably 99% of the time is instead of sending 300, they send maybe 30 and they get burned out because they just overwhelmed themselves, right? And because they got overwhelmed, they got burned out, it means that for the next 5 days, they're gonna send 0 messages, right? Instead, if they had said, you know what, I'm gonna send 10 per day and I'm just gonna do 10 and that's it, I'm done for the day, they would have sent 50 messages for the week instead of 30, right? So you need to understand that being intense about something isn't really the right answer. You just need to stay consistent, okay? If you do that for a long period of time, you will see success. And there's infinite proof that this is true, okay? Next up is a 20-mile march, which connects heavily to consistency, to the idea that consistency is greater than intensity. So you need to ignore your feelings about the day or external events, right? So there's gonna be days where you just don't feel like it, that it's a bad day. Let's say it's raining or snowing and it's super cold and you don't want to go out, you don't want to work, you don't want to do anything, you just want to like stay in and sleep in. You need to ignore that, right? And say, you know what? I need to do my daily tasks, right? That is essentially what the 20-mile march is. So you pick a number of daily tasks, daily actions that you will complete every single day, no matter what, and you do it. Okay, like it really is all that you need to do. Pick, 3, in this case, let's say the business one, you pick these 3 actions and you will do them every single day, no matter how you feel or what's happening. You just sit down. This will take you at most an hour, and that's really exaggerating, and this will take you 30 minutes. So let's say an hour and a half per day it will take you to complete your 20-mile march. So if you don't do it, then you're just not cut out for it, right? Because it's really easy to do it. So pick your 20 miles, it's what I call them, what a lot of people call them, and just do them every single day, no matter what's happening, right? Now, this idea, and I'm going to share this brief story with you, which I think is very important for you to hear, comes from an Antarctica expedition. I think it was the first expedition that happened in the early 1900s. So it was a guy called Amundsen versus a guy named Scott. So they had their own separate teams, right? And they had the different strategies for the expedition. So Scott decided to, you know what? I'm going to do a lot of miles and hike a lot of miles on days that are good. And when days are bad, I'm just going to stay in my tent, sleep, play cards, whatever, and just wait till the weather gets better. On the other hand, Amundsen basically said, I'm going to hike 15 to 20 miles every single day, no matter what. Okay, so essentially, if it was really cold and it was like horrible weather, he would do his 15 to 20 miles no matter what. And if it was a great day, he wouldn't push for 50 because he knew that if he pushed that much, he would get burned out and his team would get tired and they wouldn't be able to continue the next day. So he did 20 miles every single day, no matter what happened. Now, if you were to look this story up, you would see that Scott's team didn't make it. They actually died out there because they didn't hit their checkpoints and they didn't have enough food and, they just didn't make it. And Amundsen, because he was consistent in his daily actions, because he hiked 20 miles every single day, he hit every single checkpoint, always had enough food for himself and his team, and they made it to the final checkpoint in time. Okay, and they obviously survived. So you need to pick your 20 miles and do them consistently every single day. Now, the last point I want to share with you, which is, I think, one of the most important things that I've learned last year, is dealing with ups and downs. So the thing you need to realize is that nothing in life is consistent. Nothing stays the same, or like I said here, nothing in life stays still. You either get better or worse, and it's completely up to you, right? So for example, muscles, right? If you are working out every single day, you're lifting weights, your muscles will get stronger. But if you stop working out, your muscles will actually get weaker. They won't stay the same. You'll actually lose muscle mass, right? So it's the same with everything else, right? If you are not doing anything about it, it's declining, it's getting worse. So you need to always be aware of this so that when you are on an up or down, you know that you need to keep pushing, okay? So this is the second thing, when you're doing well, you need to push, right? Because when you are on a high or on an up, then you need to really, really force yourself to push further and further and further away, right? Because let me show you this right here. So the way life works, you go through seasons of highs and lows and highs and lows, and it's normal. That's life. It happens. It's totally fine if there's a season in life and you're in a year where you're like not feeling it, you don't want to work a lot. It happens. It's fine. But this is how it looks. So January, let's say everyone's super motivated. It's a new year. They're going to work out, new me, all that kind of stuff. So they're very motivated. So they go on an up, right? Now, sometime like late February, maybe March, things start to go down. They start getting demotivated. They get tired. They're like, I don't think I can keep doing this. I don't want to work out. And boom, they stop. Right now in the summer, let's say, or let's say in fall or spring, they start to get, motivated again. It's getting warmer. It's nice. They go on and up again, and then they go down, right? For whatever reason, they go up again. And December, always people go down because, it's the holidays. They want to rest. They go on vacation, whatever. So this is essentially what the year looks like for most people. Now, if you were to understand this and know that, okay, if I'm on a high, if I'm going up, then I push to go even further, right? So if you're going up, if you're here, you don't want to just let yourself kind of slow down because, you know, because that's how the year is. You want to push yourself to go as far and as high as you possibly can, right? And then of course you will eventually go down. You'll burn out, you'll get tired, you say, okay, I need to take a break because I'm doing just way too much, and you'll go down, and that's okay. And then there'll come a season that you'll go back up again, and you're push, and then you'll go back down, and then up, and then down, right? So it's normal, right? There'll always be ups and downs no matter where you are in life. And then there's people that essentially, you know, they do well, they're doing well, and because they're doing well, they say, you know what, I'm doing so well, I'm gonna celebrate. I'm gonna go out to a club and drink and go to sleep late and eat bad foods and all that, right? And because of that, they actually self-sabotage and they start going down. They go down, 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 down. And then they go back up again. They say, okay, I'm gonna try to get back to where I was, and they can't quite get there. So, you know, they start going down again, right? And then they go back up to try again. And then December, like always, you go down because it's the holidays. Okay, so this is what it, as you can see, it all looks the same. It's just different types of people. Here's the people that push themselves. Here's the people that are kind of like pushing, but not really. And there's the people that really just do not understand how this works. So I want you to notice something. So this is the baseline. We're at 0. But for the people that push themselves, the baseline is now here, right? When they go down, like the center, you know, the base, the middle of everything, is instead of being at 0, it's like at a 3, right? So when they go up, they get to like a 5. And then when they go down, they go to a 1. So they stay positive. They're never at 0 again because they just pushed themselves and the baseline just went up, right? And now this is their new normal, right? Whatever it may be, it's either weight, money, travel, you know, whatever it is. Now, the people that are just normal, they'll stay at 0. And the people that just really just don't understand how this works, that self-sabotage like crazy, you know, they're at -3, like, which is really bad, right? And whenever they go up to a high, they're no longer at like a 1. Now, in this case, they're at a -1, right? So now it's really, really hard for them to go back to 0 even, because they have to really push to get there. Okay, so from this, you need to realize that you cannot get influenced by anything while you're down or while you're really high up, right? If you're really high up, you cannot let yourself say, I'm gonna go celebrate because I'm doing well, right? And when you're down, you need to remind yourself that this is temporary and that I'm gonna be on a, you know, a good season soon. So I just need to keep going, right? So if you do that, you're always going to be moving up, and your baseline is going to increase, right? Which is the most important thing when it comes to anything in life. So that is essentially the main idea for this video, right? I wanted to share with you how to set your goals in a way that you're set up for success. And I wanted to help you understand the mentality you need to have in order to consistently hit those goals and stay in a good mindset throughout the year. Okay, so I hope you found value here in this video. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe button below. And if you want to know when I post new videos, go ahead and click that bell so you get a notification every time I post a new video. Okay, so that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.